If you believe that bullying is bad, hit the like button. If you care for your family and friends, share this video. There once was a wolf pup that was smaller than his siblings. This poor puppy had a really tough life. All of the other wolves in his pack made fun of him, and no one wanted to be his friend. Even his own mother didn't want to spend much time with him. She would always tell the pup, "You are such a disappointment. You don't look like a wolf at all. You will never be strong enough to hunt or brave enough to protect our family." The little wolf pup tried his best to ignore her hurtful words, but it wasn't easy. Every time he looked at his reflection in the water or saw his shadow on the ground, he felt sad. He knew that he was different from the other pups, and not in a good way. He was smaller, thinner, and weaker than them, and his fur was also a strange color, which made him stick out even more. One day, the entire wolf pack decided to go looking for a new place to live. They had been living in the same territory for many years now, and there simply wasn't enough food for everyone anymore. So they had to find somewhere new where they could raise their pups without worrying about starvation. The journey was long and tiring, and the pups quickly got tired. But their mother kept telling them, "We don't have time to rest, not now. We need to keep moving if we want to find a new home before winter arrives." The wolf pups whined and whimpered, but none of them wanted to admit how exhausted they really were. They just kept trudging along behind their mother, hoping that she would eventually tell them it was time to take a break. But just as they were about to reach their destination, a loud roar echoed through the forest. A huge bear was standing in front of them, blocking their path. The she-wolf snarled and bared her teeth. "Leave this place right now, you oversized rat. We don't want any trouble." The bear just laughed and shook its head. "Trouble is exactly what you're gonna get, little she-wolf. In fact, I'm gonna make you and your pups my dinner tonight." With those words, the bear lunged at the helpless animals and knocked the she-wolf to the ground. The other wolves quickly formed a circle around their fallen leader, growling and snapping at the bear. But no matter how hard they tried, there was simply too much for the big animal to handle. It swatted them away like pesky flies and soon had them all pinned to the ground. The she-wolf watched in horror as the bear approached her pups. It opened its mouth to devour the little wolf, but then stopped short. The bear sniffed the air and suddenly took off running. The wolf pack was confused, but didn't waste any time questioning it. They quickly ran after the bear, hoping that whatever it had smelled wouldn't hurt their pups. When they finally caught up to it, they saw that it had stopped to smell something else. A bigger bear was waiting for its cub just a few meters away. When the first bear realized that it had been followed, it let out a furious roar and charged at the newcomers. The two bears stood back to back, ready to defend their young with their lives. The pack of wolves exchanged glances. They knew that they couldn't win against two bears who were protecting their cubs, but they also couldn't leave their pups behind. So they did the only thing they could think of. The wolves backed away slowly, making sure that the bears didn't notice them. As soon as they were out of sight, they turned and ran back to the forest as fast as they could. They had to come up with a plan to save their pups. The wolves hid behind some bushes and watched as the bears left to go look for food. Then they took their chance and ran over to the den where the pups were still sleeping. They gently nudged their sleeping babies awake and told them it was time to go. The pups were scared, but they knew that they had to listen to their parents. They quickly got up and followed the wolves into the forest. As they were walking, the little wolf pup noticed a small rabbit hopping around in front of him. He wanted to chase it, but his mother quickly stopped him. "Don't even think about it, you little fool. If you try anything stupid, I'll personally make sure you never see another sunrise." The pup whimpered and hung his head in shame. His mother was right. He knew that what he had done was stupid, and he would never do it again. After walking for what seemed like hours, the wolves finally reached their destination. It was a small cave hidden at the bottom of a hill. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. The wolves quickly settled down and made themselves comfortable. The pups snuggled up to their mother and she licked them to make sure they were okay. Suddenly, the she-wolf felt something strange. She quickly pushed her pups away and backed away from them. The little wolf pup watched in confusion as his mother began growling and baring her teeth. Then he heard a loud crash and saw the biggest bear from earlier standing at the entrance of the cave. It was growling and getting ready to attack. The wolves quickly got into a defensive position, growling and baring their teeth. But the she-wolf knew that they were outmatched. She nudged her pups closer together and whispered, "This is it, my babies. I love you. Now run as fast as you can and hide behind the rocks. Don't come out until I call you." The pups hesitated for a moment, but then took off running and hid behind some boulders. The she-wolf watched them go and then turned to face the bear. She knew that she was outmatched, but she wasn't going down without a fight. She lunged at the bear, biting and scratching it as hard as she could. The bear roared in pain and anger and swatted her away like a fly. The she-wolf hit the ground hard and let out a yelp. She struggled to get back up, but the bear was on top of her in an instant. It opened its mouth to devour her, but then froze. It sniffed the air and suddenly took off running. The she-wolf watched in confusion as the bear disappeared into the forest. She slowly got up and limped over to where her pups were hiding. She called them out, and they quickly came running. The she-wolf nuzzled them and told them they had to keep moving. They couldn't stay here any longer. But before they could take more than a few steps, the angry roar of the bear echoed through the forest once again. The she-wolf knew that they had to hide, so she quickly found a new spot for her pups and told them to stay quiet. The bear walked past the den and let out a frustrated roar. It couldn't find the wolf anywhere. Suddenly, the smallest pup couldn't help himself anymore. He poked his head out of the den and asked, "Where did you go? Did you see a big bad bear around?" The bear froze and slowly turned to face the den. It was growling and getting ready to attack, but the pup wasn't afraid. He stood his ground and barked at the bear. The bear was stunned. It had never seen a wolf pup act this way before. Usually, they would be cowering and whimpering, but this one actually looked brave. The bear hesitated for a moment, then turned and walked away. The wolf pup watched it go and then went back to his den. The she-wolf was furious. She scolded her pup for being so reckless, but deep down she was proud of him. The bear hadn't come back, and that was all that mattered. As the sun began to set, the she-wolf knew that they couldn't stay here any longer. They had to move on and find somewhere else to live. The pups were tired, but they knew that they had to keep moving. The she-wolf led them through the forest until they finally found a new den. It was far away from where they had been living, and no bears would ever find them here. The she-wolf watched as her pups curled up to sleep. She was worried about what would happen to them next, but she knew that they were strong and brave enough to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had never been prouder of her little wolf pups, especially the smallest one. No one had believed in him, but he had proven them all wrong. The little wolf pup had saved the whole pack and become a true hero. Like this video if you're brave and would stick up for your family.